Hey there, welcome to another episode of Stand Your Ground Studio. This is Scott, and I've got a quick one for you today. This falls right under the category of externalizing the hierarchy. Some new information is coming out to the public. This probably isn't really news to the truther community, but I point this out because it's coming out in the open just like I said they would in earlier videos. And it's all about that old movement conservative element that's been working behind the scenes to manipulate reality. And they're going to put the truth out in plain sight and pin it on them. And in the past, they've been coming out with this stuff in kind of like a trickle. This is much less watered down than normal. So it's all about a Nixon aide reportedly admitted drug war was meant to target black people. And this is on the Huffington Post. Their log line right here. Did we know we were lying about the drugs? Of course we did. So it's that inner division that's happening. People who are, no longer with the party are just going to come right out and say it. So it's all about this guy right here, John Erhlichman. And he was a part of the Nixon administration during all of his wrongdoing in the early 70s. And apparently what happened was he was a part of the Watergate scandal. He served a year and a half in prison. And in the early 90s, an author named Dan Baum interviewed him, and he got some shocking quotes. And over the years, it's kind of trickled out, but now's the time to reveal it, just like I've been saying. So just look at some of the language here. An eye-opening remark from a former aide to President Richard Nixon pulls back the curtain on the true motivation of the United States war on drugs. So eye-opening, it's time for us to wake up. Pulling back the curtain, it's lifting of the veil, seeing the man behind the curtain. Everything I basically just told you here, but the administration cited a high death toll and negative social impacts of drugs to justify expanding federal drug control agencies. Doing so set the scene for decades of socially and economically disastrous policies. This is all about the interview being set up. Okay, here's a quote. This is John Erhlichman. You know what this was really all about? The Nixon campaign in 1968 and the Nixon White House after that had two enemies, the anti-war left and black people. You understand what I'm saying? We knew we couldn't make it illegal to either be against the war or black, but by getting the public to associate hippies with marijuana and blacks with heroin, and then criminalizing both heavily, we could disrupt those communities. We could arrest their leaders, raid their homes, break up their meetings, and vilify them night after night on the evening news. Did we know we were lying about drugs? Of course we did. Then right after that, truth in plain sight. In other words, the intense racial targeting that's become synonymous with the drug war wasn't an unintended side effect. It was the whole point. They're just throwing it right out there. And on Huffington Post, it's a bit on the left because that's where the left is supposed to be demonizing the right mostly right now. This is what I call core mainstream media. This is going to become pretty popular really fast as we go deeper into the 2016 election cycle and the Trump travesty that's going on right now. They talk about a little bit about how this has kind of been out in the open in pieces before. Let's jump over to Jezebel, which I consider a step further out towards what I call fringe mainstream media. Same deal, same report. Here's Nixon with Reagan, so they talk about how it kind of gets passed down to Reagan. Same quotes are right here. This one I want to talk about. So they expand on it a little bit here. They mentioned Nixon being a noted racist. That's big in the news right now. So here we go. The war on drugs was a Nixon invention. So they're putting it in plain sight, but pinning it on a specific individual, just like they're doing with Trump and Hitler and all that. As Baum explains, it's been useful for every president thereafter, and its function as a suppressive tool didn't exactly wane. Recall the way it defined Reagan's crack era, which was funneled into black neighborhoods by the CIA. So this is a step out towards fringe, so they're talking to an audience that kind of already assumes this, and then used to decimate an entire generation. Or the way relatively minor drug offenses are the main contributor to the current mass incarceration crisis, which disproportionately affects young black and brown men. And it's very true. You can go ahead and look up the statistics on that. It's very much askew. So they're putting it right out there, and this is going to start to show up more and more. And just a quick note, if you're new to this channel, I'm not actually defending anybody on the right, like Nixon or Reagan. I personally believe it's been a one-party system for a very long time. What I'm saying is it's time to expose a bunch of corruption we all kind of knew already existed. And I think a lot of truthers are going to suddenly see the enemy begin to expose itself, and they're going to want to attack. And this is where I talked about in the earlier video. Organizations like Alex Jones' channel and Anonymous and others, they're going to be leading the charge so that we have an enemy and truth is in plain sight. It's going to be a little bit too perfect to resist. So be careful. Stay grounded and don't get wrapped up in the narrative because it's just about time for this to get extremely crazy. That's all I had to share. Let me know what you think. Show me any details that maybe I missed or haven't seen, and let's just keep an eye on this. Thank you very much for watching. I'll talk to you next time.